everybody, and welcome to the first episode of I'll Watch It Later Spooktacular.
I don't know if that was supposed to be. I don't know if that was supposed to be spooky or if he was supposed to be 80.
Anyways,
Pepper's like, Norman.
this is the first episode of the I'll Watch It Later podcast Spooktacular October Spookathon. How many words can I say?
Double
Spooky
feature.
Double feature movie marathon scare craziness.
Tactic.
No, that doesn't make any sense.
Spectacular.
So welcome, guys. If you join us from previous episodes, or if this is your first episode,
Sorry.
I
Apologize ahead of time.
I am Aaron, and joined always by my best friend, Jordan.
Hello.
And my other best friend and brother-in-law, and pain in my ass, Scott.
That's me being dead.
Okay. Should we make up
Like our podcast careers.
Should we do like the Simpsons and make up like dead names for myself? Like,
Be like
I'm Aaron Headless. I don't know.
This has already gone so far off the rails.
Nah, it's fine.
Treehouse of Horror episode.
So, if you are just joining us, or you missed last week's episode, or you're like, what is this on iTunes? You can always follow along at Watch It Later Pod on Instagram, Watch It Later Pod on Twitter, and head over to our website at I'll Watch It Later Podcast, or I think it's watchitlaterpod.com.
WatchItLaterPod.com.
Yeah, it is watchitlaterpod.com. And so what we're doing this month is to celebrate all things horror, our favorite genre. We are doing double features, but not today. I know. But you got another episode. You got the snack episode.
Psych.
So today we will be reviewing a movie. I just kind of wanted to go through the month for you. So how this is going to work from here on out is we are going to watch a classic horror film that none of us have seen. So we're going to kind of are you okay with that? What are you doing? Oh, okay.
We're doing our own show.
Oh, okay.
Squirrel.
So what we're going to be doing is for the
It really does get distracted.
Yes, I told you can't do anything. It has to be hyper focused on the show.
I don't know what I'm doing with my hands.
So what we are going to be doing is a grindhouse type thing where if you're not new to, or I mean, if you are new to the show, sorry, we pick the essence of the show is we pick a movie that none of us have seen, and then we review it. The rules are 2 out of the 3 have to have not seen it. Even if you've already seen it, you can pick the movie so the other 2 have to watch it. So we are bringing that over to our October Spooktacular delight, but we're adding a little bit to it. So we're all going to pick a movie that we haven't seen, and on top of that, we have a random generizer. We have a random generator that has a bunch of movies in it, regardless if we've seen it or not, and we're going to watch that film as well and talk about it. And it's just a way to force you to watch a bunch of horror movies during the month of October and follow along with us and watch along with us.
Because you have no choice.
And the only
I
thing
mean, you
fun
do.
size about these episodes will be the candy. We're eating.
So, I'm a little lightheaded from all that. But
It's his first breath.
Aaron's on a treadmill while he's talking.
so I started this off last week, and I told us we'd be talking about Fade to Black. Before we get into that, I just wanted to, do you guys want to say anything about horror movies, or what October means to you, or how good these Fruit Loop gummies were? Or,
Yes, we found the Fruit Loop gummies.
We did.
I think we talked about them last episode in the Snap
I think we were looking for them.
We were looking for them. We didn't find them, though.
I don't know if
we
we
have them
mentioned
now.
but we found. Okay, so yeah, I found at the local Fry's grocery store, Kroger, all around the nation, the Fruit Loops gummies. So they're just gummy rings with the Fruit Loop name on it, and honestly, I think they're delicious.
They taste like Fruit Loops.
They
What
taste
more
like
can
gummy
you say?
Fruit Loops. I mean, there's not much. You open it up, it smells like you just opened up a bag of Fruit Loops. You know, the only off-putting thing is that they have that granular sugar on it that gives it a little
I
bit
can't
of a...
stand that. It's just too weird for me.
Again, I think it's to give it that, you know, because Fruit Loops out of the box before you put milk on them have that almost like a frosted kind of texture to it, so it's crunchy. I think that's what they're trying to go for. But otherwise, I think they're good. They taste and smell just like Fruit Loops. They're just gummy.
So that was an extra.
You're welcome.
That was for you.
That's
Yep.
Snack Show
That's-
0.5.
You just
That
got
is
the snack show.
bonus
But guess what?
content.
There's more snack show. It's like
Bonus content.
It's like downloadable content to your Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No, October, man. I mean, it's October.
Yeah.
What else is there to say about October,
It's
man? It's like the weather starts getting cooler. You know, it gets dark earlier. It's just that time where I want to watch horror movies, man.
Oh.
I want to watch the classics. I want to sit down and watch some good Halloween movies. You know, eat some candy till I'm ready to puke. And I mean, that's what else can you say?
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I do the horror movie each day of the month. So my favorite movies are like Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street. So it's
Exactly, like a little asshole.
it's just it's just one of those things where it's like it is my favorite genre. I've been watching horror movies since I was little. I mean, I'm sure I shouldn't have been watching some of the things that I've seen growing up through the 80s and stuff like that.
Oh,
But
no,
I mean, it
obviously.
helped shape kind of the idea of what a good horror movie is, like, practical effects, good fun stories. I mean, not all of them were great. One of my favorite movies growing up was directed by Robert Englund. It's 976 Evil. It's not a good horror movie, but it's got practical effects. I mean, you see the hard work put into this kind of stuff, and I appreciate that a lot more than I do with most horror movies now that rely on a lot of special effects. It's just like a good practical effect movie will get me every time.
Takes me back to being a kid, man. It's I mean, it boiled down to fall break. My buddy down the street. We were kids. You'd go spend the night. We'd go to the video store and we pick movies based on how scary the front cover looked.
Right.
And we would just get a whole bunch of freaking VHS movies and just binge watch horror movies all night. Some good, some not good.
I was going to say, probably the majority probably weren't
Yeah.
the best. I mean, staying up late and watching stuff like on Cinemax and Showtime and HBO, that's when all the good horror movies were on late. And you joke around and people always say, oh, Skinemax, that was the late movie. No, there were a lot of really cool horror movies being played late past 10 o'clock. And, luckily enough, I, would stay up late and get to see some of this stuff. And it was really cool. Like, I really enjoyed it. Should I have been? No. Will I let my kid ever watch these kinds of things at his age? No. But, I love it.
That's
it's
that's
just
the
great.
essence of the season, man.
Right. Good
Essence
scares.
of the season.
So you guys had normal childhoods. I was very repressed. I wasn't allowed to watch horror movies.
Well, I'm sure
or
I shouldn't have wouldn't
go
like,
to the
probably
movies
not
or
look at them.
do anything. My parents just didn't care about me, so I didn't have a way to actually get to them,
Oh, it's got darker than the
to
movies I
access them or anything like that. So to this day, horror movies still scare me.
Well, I like being scared.
I
Like,
love being
They still
scared.
scare me. I mean, what was that movie we went and watched? It was a scary movie.
We've seen a lot of movies.
I'm trying to think. Like, there was at one point where we were both kind of just doing this, where we would hold our hand up, kind of peek through our fingers.
I do watch
maybe like
those.
side watching, where you just kind of keep it kind of closed, but you're kind of watching.
We saw this in the theaters.
Yeah,
It
who knows?
wasn't the Lodge.
Maybe it was. No, I don't think it was the Lodge. But
It wasn't that
I
scary.
mean, we watch scary movies to feel that reaction, to feel that dread, to feel that
Legally
horror.
Blonde.
No.
It was
that the one you guys went and saw?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the one.
that was great.
Terrifying.
I'm going to go off on a totally random tangent, but we got to watch The Night House. Like, no one else in this room needs to know that, or on the podcast. But The Night House apparently is super good, and I like this movie called Super Dark Times. I think I've raved about it enough. I didn't know this at the time. The people who made Super Dark Times wrote The Night House.
That's the actress that was in the King Kong movie, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes, I remember.
so-
I think you and I were gonna go see that, and we never did
And we
at some
just-
point. And then,
no.
yeah, the reviews of it are actually pretty good. So yeah, I kind of want to watch that. And I feel like I've missed out on a lot of things that should have released. Like Candyman got delayed so much that by the time they finally released
did
it, I
see
just didn't
Candyman,
really want to go.
It was good for the. So the movie itself spawned its own urban legend, where everyone thought Candyman was real and stuff like that. The new one, it doesn't expand on the mythos. It's just a.
I have a problem with remakes.
I hate using the word woke, but it is very woke. Not saying it's a bad movie. It's just it doesn't appeal to my senses, and nothing about it was scary. So
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think we're due for a good amount of horror movies.
well,
that
I heard
finally-
Hereditary's really good.
Shut your damn mouth.
That
I know Halloween Kills comes out in about.
We are seeing that as a
couple
show,
weeks.
and we will discuss
That I'm
it
excited
on the
about.
show. So maybe we'll do that as the
They
double
actually,
feature.
they actually just screened it at I forget what the festival is.
Beyond Fest
Beyond
in
Fest
LA.
In LA, and I think
Rucking Fountain was there.
exactly
Handing
our
out
unofficial sponsor of the show. They don't sink any money. They don't know we exist, but we buy every T-shirt. Literally up through I think Thursday, I bought the thing. You bought the
I
thing.
bought the thing.
So yeah, I mean,
I'm wearing one right now.
literally as we speak. I actually wore that one yesterday, except the color one.
Right.
But yeah, Halloween Kills comes out, which is nice because honestly, a Halloween movie coming out around Halloween, it to this day amazes me
right.
and makes me happy, and it feels right because I am really tired of saying, okay, I'm gonna go see this new horror movie that releases in February. Fuck you. It deserves a fall release. It deserves a maybe late September, October release. Like, I want Halloween horror movies. Like, I want those kinds of things. Give me an anthology. Give me the Trick or Treats of the world. I want something scary. I don't want to watch this stuff in February. I'll see it. I'll probably like it. But by the time Halloween rolls around again, I'll forget about it, and it bums me out because these deserve to be showcased in the time that they should be showcased.
I've never seen
I
Trick
love
or
this
Treat.
time.
Does it bother you?
That's on our random list.
Yeah, it didn't get picked.
No, but it's that's just for me.
I promise you
that's
that-
a quintessential Halloween movie because it's just it revolves around a Halloween theme.
Yeah.
It's not a slasher type, I mean, it's got that Halloween theme, and that's all I'm going to say about it because it could get picked, and we might end up talking about it. But
It's good stuff.
Or I could just watch it, and we can talk about it next week.
and lie to our fans.
Yes, and
My mom will be very disappointed.
Okay, so I did pick
Yeah, what's our first horror movie?
Fade to Black.
In quotes.
Are you an actress?
No.
It's amazing. You look exactly like Matt.
We know. Everybody says that.
What was the name of the movie that Tom Yule took you to see in 7 Year Itch?
Who the hell cares?
It was a creature from the Black Lagoon.
Hey, how did you know that? It's great.
I go to a lot of movies. It's my thing.
She'll eat your breakfast the way you devour those. Brain food is what you need, not escapist trash.
This movie is 1980 movie, directed by Vernon Zimmerman. Stars Dennis Christopher, Norman Burton. I think what's his face? Mickey Rourke had a very small part in this.
It's
he
the
was
second movie.
in it. Yes.
The plot synopsis is Eric Binford is a lonely movie buff who struggles to find his place in the world. The rejection by Marilyn Monroe lookalike who embodies his obsession sends him on to a killing spree. What this movie should have been called was, Aaron, if you made different choices in your life, this would be you.
Yeah, I mean, seriously.
This movie, I don't care. We will
Bury it.
We'll sit around and we'll rate it at the end. This movie fucking sucked.
It's so bad.
I don't like to just come out of the gate and say that, but I think we're all in consensus on that, especially after our conversation about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or in the West. Sorry, and
There's some funny shit in this movie.
there is some hilarious stuff in this movie, but it is
not a horror movie.
it's
Oh,
horror
no.
comedy, so it's considered one of the first horror comedies.
But they list it as a slasher movie.
Nope.
There is no slashing in this movie whatsoever.
I see horror,
I'm running
horror
through the-
slasher comedy. Is
I'm
what
running
I'm
through the
looking at.
kills in this movie, and honestly, yeah, it is by definition not a scary movie. It's not a horror movie. It's not a slasher movie. It's not even suspenseful in the way.
Kills two people.
No,
He kills two people. Everybody else was inadvertently killed. He shoots two people in this
You know what?
movie.
You're right.
Everybody else is inadvertently killed because he just happens to be there.
Doesn't he stab the hooker?
No,
He shoots
he's
her?
chasing her.
She
and she
impales
She
herself.
falls and impales
her.
herself. His aunt gets
Falls
pushed
down.
down the stairs, which she rode that like a freaking wave in Hawaii,
was
all the way to the bottom step before she fell off, and she still died. Nobody would have died from that. And then he shoots Mickey Rourke's character,
Yes.
and he
ghost
shoots his
scene.
boss, and then
I thought his boss died of a heart attack.
His boss died of
Yeah.
a heart attack. He
Oh, no,
killed
yeah,
the
that's
guy
right.
in the
No, that's
movie,
right.
the movie
Yeah.
guy that stole his movie
okay, yeah,
idea.
yeah.
Oh,
so
he
his
comes
boss
in
has a
We're
heart attack.
burying the whole plot of this movie. But honestly, there's
No,
not
there's
much plot to
no,
it.
no. So right.
Gary steals his plot of the movie.
Yeah.
Anyways, he out of all these kills, he only kills 2 people. Actually kills 2 people.
Right, and not to say that you choosing this was a bad choice. I'm not saying it is. Everyone, we want to try to find things that we haven't seen, and
Right.
It sells it as this type of movie. But if I were to sit there and think this movie, does this belong around Halloween? Does this belong in October? Would this fit on our list of things that we would want to see that are Halloween based or horror based? No, this movie is so far outside the norm. I mean, even for 1980, there have been other movies, slasher movies, or anything else that would still be phenomenally better than
But the
this.
cover is something that
It's
I probably,
interesting.
as a kid, going to the video shop and picking movies out and stuff, I would have probably grabbed this movie.
So Eric, who goes insane after this, Marilyn Monroe, he doesn't even reject him. She just gets caught up and is late to a movie, and he takes it super personally because he can't control his emotions. And then he decides to go see I think it was Night. What is it? What's it called? Night of the Living
It was
Dead.
the original Night of the Living Dead. In the
Dressed as a vampire.
Dressed as Dracula,
Yeah.
like the 1930s Bela Lugosi Dracula. He there's a scene where he's in his attic room that he lives with his aunt, who
Is his
spoiler
mom?
alert, it fucking turns out it's his mother,
Which is so
such a
stupid.
random throwaway thing.
Very, very Psycho-esque, though.
Right.
With, they have a weird, creepy, almost sexually tension scene
gross.
when they're talking to each other, and I was like, this is uncomfortable.
It was weird.
Creeps me out.
I hated the mom or the aunt,
aunt
or
mom.
whatever you wanted to call her.
So like he paints himself up after he's not really, like he said, not really rejected. She just he makes a date with this woman who she's weird. Like the way she
Yeah.
acts, the way she talks.
It's popular. She's like a popular chick.
She was very stereotypical 80s bimbo,
Yeah.
ditzy girl. She would die in Friday the 13th.
She'd be the first one to go.
She'd be the first one to go. There
So
was nothing wrong with her though.
They're in this diner, right? And he looks over and he sees her and he goes, has anybody ever told you look like Marilyn Monroe? And her friend's like, yeah, we hear that all the time. And he goes, shut up. And I immediately think, well, this guy is Aaron.
Right, exactly. That's all the stuff I was
Like,
thinking.
Lorraine, you are my density. No, yeah,
Very, very Christopher.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Crispin Glover.
Crispin Glover.
Yeah.
God,
So I mean,
I can't think on the fly, guys.
it's all right. You're dumb. No, it's just it's the weird. There's a lot of weird choices in this movie. So yeah, he goes home. He paints himself up to look like the black and white Bela Lugosi Dracula movie, and then goes and sits in a theater of, I swear to God, rejects from like Class of Nukem High, punk 1980s stereotypes in L.A. Sitting in a movie theater watching Night of the Living Dead, and it's so fucking weird.
At one point, like some people start talking in the theater, and he's like, "Shh," like totally, like more loud than the people talking in the theater, which is totally something I would do.
Well, before that even happened, to set up the second kill. Did he already kill his aunt by then, or he kills his aunt after?
Aunt was the first one.
Okay, so his aunt, he inadvertently kind of in a
she
rage
dies
of
the night he came home from the movies after Marilyn Monroe stuck him up,
stood him up.
stood him up. Damn, dude,
Stuck
I
him
have
up,
the-
like put a gun
I
to
have
him and
the-
took his money.
I have the brain fog or something.
Yeah.
I apologize.
And she's in a wheelchair.
Yes.
So they kind of get in this tiff and they go outside for whatever reason and they live on the second floor. And he kind of pushes her and she just goes soaring down
Which
these
is
stairs.
weird because it cuts immediately to that Mac and Me scene where the wheelchair goes right off the cliff.
No, he's actually.
I would have
there's-
rather seen that.
There's a movie. I think it's from the 40s called "Kiss Me Deadly" that he is envisioning in his head, and it's a big deal. That I guess it's one of like the first real horror scenes in a movie like that, and it's a big deal. But he's imagining all these films as these murderous scenes go by, and they're incorporating all these old movies. He takes on the persona of this dude from this movie called White Heat. I think it's not Humphrey Bogart's character, but it's this other guy's character, and it was a lot of movie within a movie. It kind of reminded me of Scream, to a point. Like,
You think?
Scream is clearly a far better film, but
yes, but this guy he envisions all these movies, and as I was sitting there, I was thinking the same thing. And Kim said, she's like, "This really reminds me of the Cable Guy."
oh yeah,
And I was thinking to myself, "That's exactly what this is. It's the Cable Guy."
the
Yeah.
Cable
So the movie
Guy.
he was reenacting was Kiss of Death,
Kiss
1947,
of Death.
and
Did I say Kiss Me Deadly?
yeah, I mean
That's-
it was close.
yeah,
but
sorry.
Yeah, he accidentally pushes his aunt down the staircase. She dies. He goes to the funeral and then dresses up. Well, before that, there was a scene where he was waiting for the bus after he gets stood up, and there's this hooker standing outside, and he offers her like $10, and she's like, "Nah,
I'm going
good."
to work.
She's like, "I'm going to work. What are you doing?" And so she's waiting for someone to pick her up, and he's like, "Well, I got $10," and she goes, "Yeah, no, fuck off," and sets it up to where now he's pissed off at her. And so after he, kills his aunt, that's when he dresses up as, Bela Lugosi's Dracula, sees the movie, and then after the movie, it sets it up to he's now going to do his second kill. And that's who he goes after, I believe, is that the hooker.
Yeah, he
Yes.
goes after the hooker, and then he has, after he's done with her, he immediately goes and breaks into the girl's house, where they reenact literally the scene from Psycho in the shower, where he pulls the curtain back, and she screams, and he has a pen, and he drops a pen, and the ink rolls down the drain like
How
blood.
they didn't get sued for that.
So I don't.
Because he was trying to get an autograph.
As I said earlier, this movie fucking sucks. But it's kind of fun that we're talking about it because it mentions all these horror films. Like it's you know what I mean? You know what I mean, Jordan?
Yeah,
Like it's,
no, the idea that it's more of a like he's reenacting stupid things, and it's more fun to talk about how dumb the reenactments are than it is to talk about the plot of this movie.
There's so many weird scenes, man. And then there's a guy that's hired on the police force, and he kind of talks with the police lady that's there.
Dude.
And then they have a sex scene, right?
that B story was so lame.
So
Right.
he's like a consultant to the LA Police Department.
Yes.
And he's like one of these hippy dippy, kids need to get
Dude,
fucking
lines of blow off the desk.
yeah. So he's not even a cop. Okay, so you said the sex scene. Do you know who that woman is?
No.
Chris Pine's mom.
Shut the fuck
She was an
up.
actress. She only did a few movies, and then during this movie, she was pregnant with
Chris Pine?
Chris Pine was born right after they released this movie.
I bet he-
Gwyn Guilford.
Guilford. She's married to whoever Pine, and that's Chris Pine's mom.
So the weirdest
Oh,
part
that
about
is
that
some good
scene is
that's the
trivia.
best part of the movie for me was finding that out. Honestly,
they're like banging in bed, right? And he rolls off, and they kind of separate, and he's got a box of Ritz.
he's got fucking Ritz crackers and like a cigarette under the blanket. Like they were under there doing stuff, and he was fucking doing a snack show and reviewing fucking Ritz crackers.
And he's got like a bottle of booze, and he's drinking, and he's got the Ritz crack. I'm like,
Do you remember how that scene finally ended? I never fucked a cop, or he never said either that, or I never had sex with a cop before, and then cut. New scene.
that's
like
what
it
I'm
was
saying.
so fucking weird.
because that no, but it was like that with every part of that B story with him, Moriarty, and the girl, and it was so weird because the police captain fucking hated this dude. He was constantly like, "You're not a cop. You can't help us." Like I was like, "Why did you call
Why is he
this
even here?
guy?" Yeah, it was so shoehorned. It was almost like they had the A story, and the
They needed
studio
someone to
was
chase
like.
him.
It was like, all right, man, but you need a B story. We got to get it to an hour and a half.
gotta have some filler in here.
Yeah, and they're like, okay, there's a psychoanalyst chasing him. He's like, okay. And
Ritz crackers in bed.
They
He's
completely,
really complex.
It's almost like they were filming another movie. The dude didn't belong in that world.
And I've seen that actor in a few things, so
Yeah.
he was very recognizable. I honestly, no one else in that cast, I think I knew beforehand. I really didn't.
Yeah, I don't think I recognized anybody.
Yeah, like I recognized him. I couldn't tell you the lineup of movies I've seen him in. He's one of those recognizable faces, but I don't know his name. But honestly,
The main guy or the Moriarty guy?
the police guy, well, the non-police guy.
So he's been in a lot of like B stuff. He
Well,
was
yeah.
in like Don't mind my child. You probably can't even hear. He was in Near Dark,
Yes.
Heat Seeker, Left in Darkness, Who's Harry Crumb. But he's been in a lot of B movies. A lot of stuff I've never even heard of. 1992 Tracers.
Tracers,
2.
or Trancers or Tracers. Yeah, that's what I see him because he's literally on the cover of that, and it's like a sci-fi movie. And that you recognize this guy, you don't know where he's from, and no one else in this cast is recognizable. The main character, the guy who plays Binford, I swear to God, looks like Roddy McDowall.
A little bit.
It just there are scenes where he's talking. I'm like, is this Roddy McDowall? Like Planet of the Apes,
Right.
So the main
all
guy,
those kinds of things.
I'm looking up his IMDb because I want to see what else he's in.
He was in It.
There's It.
Yes, that's
Django,
right. He was in the.
He was in Django Unchained.
Yes, he was.
Just
He shows up,
Yeah.
but you don't know him. Like that's the thing. Like yes, I remember him from the miniseries It. I don't know who the hell in Django he played. Honestly, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
He's obviously. I mean, that came out a couple years back, and this movie was I think like his second movie.
is it Deadwood, the TV series.
I'll have to look.
NYPD Blue, the TV series.
And-
Law and Order. This guy was in a lot of shit.
In It, he plays Eddie.
Yeah.
So he's the funny guy, but come on.
Who knows?
He's not funny.
So yeah, no. So he goes and he doesn't really like Scott was saying he doesn't really kill the hooker. He's chasing her as Dracula from 1935 or whatever.
Oh, jeez.
She's running off because he's a fucking creep. And she, I don't know, trips. It's weird. This is a short movie, and my attention span for this was actually worse than
too.
watching a 3-hour Western.
I hated it. Like I couldn't get into it at all. I was just more frustrated that it was like it reminded me of me, and I just sat there with my arms folded. Like,
Right.
Plus I didn't like any of the kills.
Just
I didn't think
angry.
it was scary. I didn't think it was anything. He's chasing that hooker, and she falls and
impales
dies,
herself on her neck
which
or
is
something.
the most dumbest thing. Like this movie would have been over in 5 seconds if the hooker would have stopped and been like, "What are you doing? Get
Then
the
he
fuck
drinks.
away
He
from me!"
drinks her blood from her neck, which is weird.
Yeah.
So it's I get what they were trying to go with, like a whole kind of like bipolar type thing where he's like reliving like scenes in his head and he's doing all this stuff he shouldn't supposed to be. But it just didn't
The
work.
only way this
No.
movie for me is classified as a horror movie is that there is a moment for a second where his boss is sitting in an office and he works for like a film print company and there's the movie poster for the movie Halloween behind him.
Yes.
That's it. That's the only thing that actually caught my interest for like 2 seconds. I'm sitting there going, oh my God, that's the poster for Halloween. And then the rest of the movie sucked.
I did enjoy, however, that how douchey the boss was.
Oh, he's
he's
an
like,
asshole.
you're fired. Okay, well, I got to go get my stuff. He's like, nope. If it's in there, it's my property.
Yeah, it's in my building. It's my property.
I was like, oh my god.
yeah,
this
but then
dude-
he like kicks over the Vespa and he's like, ah, like shakes his fist like an old man. And then it's just like, oh, this fucking movie, man.
he was just the most 80s guy on the planet, like the most 80s boss on the planet.
Everything in this was the most 80s.
Well, okay, so let's talk about the boss. Here's how he dies. Eric dresses up as the mummy from 1930s and walks in and scares the boss to death. Why? Like, why does he get scared of that?
So in this scene, he's chasing his boss, right? And his boss is trying to get out, and he grabs an axe, and he's trying to hammer through like the door with this axe. And he
Here's
turns around.
Johnny.
He turns around, and he's holding this axe. And I'm thinking to myself, just hit him with the axe.
Are we finally going
Right.
to get,
Just hit him with the damn axe. And he puts the axe down, and he crumples and has a heart attack. And I was like, oh, come on.
You had a moment where you could possibly have something, and then it
We're like, the
disappeared.
movie could have been done. We could be on our way to something different.
Yeah, I didn't understand. None of the characters were smart at all. And I get it's an 80s movie. I get it's a movie. I can't bend logic to not smartness. You know what I mean? Like, I have an axe, so use it against the guy that's coming at me. Like, if we
In a non-menacing way.
say we go to Walmart tonight and there's a guy dressed up as a mummy coming at me, and I'm in the gun section. Pretty sure I'm gonna go for a gun. Not
Motherfucker, I'm gonna hit him with a can of Campbell's soup. What the? Like,
Yeah.
he's a mummy. Like, what are you doing?
exactly.
Like,
Grab a bag of these.
I'm gonna hit him with like a
Fruit Loop gummies.
Fruit Loop gummies, exactly. Just
I'm-
beat him down with it.
I'm fine suspending disbelief,
Like,
but
even
it's
for
just like
1980, man.
rub 2 brain cells together and fucking. This movie would have been 14 minutes long. It
Like,
did-
I see where they're going for it, and I think if you took movies today and made this kind of movie where you're reenacting maybe famous kill scenes from horror movies going back to maybe even to the late 70s or early 70s, you can make a movie like this that would be good if you could actually follow through with some of the premise. This was like he was reenacting like gangster movies from the 1940s and 50s and 60s, and it's like,
which was weird.
Fuck.
Because
What is this, The Mask? Like,
yeah.
With his Tommy gun.
yeah. So
Where the fuck did he get that? Where did he get that?
where did he get anything? Like, he's got no money. He's literally trying to make bets with Mickey Rourke's character, who's, by the way, in this movie for like 3 minutes.
Which also, Mickey Rourke needed to pay him.
This
that
is
was
his
not
second. Yeah, he makes a bet like, hey, movie trivia, like, apparently bullies do. They get into movie trivia with the local bullied kid.
And he's like angry about it. Like, no, you know more about. I've Gone with the Wind.
I've seen Casablanca 1,000 times.
And
no, you haven't, Mickey Rourke. Sorry.
There is a moment where he's arguing with those two guys, and in order to get him back, he just starts flexing his movie knowledge, and I'm like, this is Aaron.
Yeah.
This is Aaron.
Yeah.
If Aaron gets in an argument,
what was Hitler's last movie?
Yeah, do you know who starred as the main actor in Halloween? Huh? Do you know that?
I mean, you say that, but I sat there and threw Chris Pine knowledge at you. So, I mean, I fall into that same trope as well. I mean, I would do the same
But
thing.
I'm super annoying about it. Like, you would just ignore two guys. I would actually be like, no, do you know? And then they'd probably school me on something. I'd feel stupid.
Yeah. Jaws was Bruce in the fucking making of Jaws.
Jesus Christ. One time I was...
Jaws is not the name of the shark, idiots. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's essentially what happens. It's like,
so I have
to do a bet to win $20, which is apparently too steep for these guys to pay.
No, it was $50.
It was $20 each, so it was like $40. They owed him $40, and it's so stupid.
I own a Rucking Fountain Jaws shirt, and I wore it into Cabela's once, and the cashier lady goes, do you know the name of the shark? And I was like, Bruce. And she looks at me and she goes, how did you know that? And I just looked at her like, this is why I don't talk to normal people about movies.
I was actually surprised today. I had an interaction, on a side tangent. Someone actually knew the shirt I was wearing today, and it actually kind of made me happy. And then I realized 90% of the population won't know what the fuck this is. So, like, I get that whole Bruce.
Indiana Jones.
It is.
Fish.
Temple of Doom.
Aw, friends.
Fish are friends.
What?
It's Bruce. Oh, God damn it.
Bruce,
I was like, what is that?
Nemo.
Dude, I've only watched
Bruce.
that movie 150 times because of my kid. Yeah, so this... I did look up some stuff on this because God knows I have to. And a lot of articles were like, the dark side of obsession. And I don't think this movie was about obsession. And you said, how did he get any of the stuff he had? He was broke. The dude's room was full of movie memorabilia. That's why he was broke.
I get the fact that he had the movie makeup, the movies, the memorabilia. I mean, I could see him buying 1,000 Blu-rays and never watching them. I could see him doing all this shit. What I don't get is how did he get fucking guns? I understand this is the 80s. Things were wackier back then.
Not a Tommy gun.
Not a Tommy gun. He had a not even a handgun. It was a revolver, like Smith & Wesson revolver in the scene with Mickey Rourke. He dresses up in like a weird plastic fucking cowboy trying to be whatever. Kicks the gun over and tries. No, because Mickey Rourke's gun wasn't real. It was like a cap gun.
A cap gun. You're right.
And then he shoots Mickey Rourke. His buddy just bailed. He's like, fuck that, I'm out. And then the scene next after that happens, they're at the police station. They just questioned the guy who killed Mickey Rourke, and he's talking to the guy that ran away. He goes, well, I guess shit happens. And then walks away. I'm like, how do you not know this motherfucker just killed your friend?
And that's the thing about the film is his turn, I guess, because he's like the shy character who speaks in like British accent and, mimics movies. And I'm marrying Marilyn Monroe. He really lives his delusion. His turn is like instant. He's like he's talking about
you got a taste for blood with his aunt's death.
I like killing now. So you killed your buddy and I killed your.
But let's talk about we're talking about suspended belief, right? There is a scene in this movie. Well, there's actually a long stretch in this movie that makes absolute zero sense at all.
Was it the start to the beginning? I mean, the end. The beginning
well,
to the end?
It was when the credits came up.
Fade to black.
So. The Marilyn Monroe lookalike character, right? She walks by this thing, and it's like looking for Marilyn Monroe lookalikes. Call this number, go to this address. Right. She goes to this address, and it's him. She has no idea that it's him.
I know, which is
she met him already.
I know,
and I'm like, how does she not understand that this is the same guy?
He's not in disguise.
No,
either. It's just him in a fucking Hugh Hefner smoking jacket at this point.
Also, drugs where's he get the drugs?
Yeah, and then he gives her like ecstasy or some stupid thing, and she like weirds out and kind of like fades.
I hate using this word, but the end of this film is super problematic, dude. Like, it doesn't make. Is he gonna rape her? I can't even tell. Like, he just.
I don't know what the drugs were for.
Me neither. They were.
He was gonna rape her.
Maybe he was like, she'll remember me.
Oh no, he was gonna rape.
I
her.
don't know.
He likes rape.
Can't joke about that.
It's a Blazing Saddles callback.
I
It's my
know it
Western
is.
phase
I know
right
it
now.
is.
Enjoy episode 6 because we're getting canceled after episode 6.
But no,
Wait, you listed rape twice. I like rape.
that is from a movie. Please do not call our bosses. Yeah, I didn't understand that whole end sequence where and he's like taking pictures. I think if he would have just been like, "Hey, it's me, that dude."
Well, at that point, he's so delusional. He's not even using his real name anymore.
Oh,
like he's using a random other name.
From White Heat.
Yeah, he's so far in the delusion now. He's referring to himself that way,
Like
even when no one's
Jarrett or
around.
something,
And
like-
and the whole idea of this movie, and it's done so poorly, and it's even brought up by the hippie non-cop guy.
The hippie non.
Yeah, where.
Cody Jarrett.
And it's the same problematic view on media that we have now, where he's saying that violent movies breed violent tendencies.
Right.
It's the same as violent video games make violent people.
But that was an '80s thing. That was what their push was.
It's a constant thing. But they're saying that this guy has issues and problems because his aunt was really his mom. He didn't know about it. There's fucking shit with that. He doesn't know about it, so who cares? Who knows?
Yeah, what's the point?
Well, the idea, the brief explanation was that she was trying to be famous herself at that point,
right?
And a dancer, and to have a baby and to be a mom at that time.
I understand that, but
I know
when the dude's 20, why are we still holding on to that delusion?
Because you've already gone too far.
No,
who cares?
It's so dumb.
But it's one of those things. So that was the idea of this movie. Oh.
Rub my back later.
No,
that was weird. That's
sexual the scene I'm talking about, where she got super creepy. And
Can I borrow some money at the usual entrance? Yes, but be back because I want my back rubbed. I was like, oh god. And he was like, oh, my penis is gonna hurt.
So bad, this movie. Yeah, like it's weird because like throughout this movie, he's very weird. He's that weird movie knowledge kid that's always spouting stuff off. But there are times where you think he's the cool kid. Like he's always, to use the stupid idiot kid expressions, clapping back at everybody. You know what I mean? Like he's always got a smug remark to hit back with people. He's not afraid of getting back into people's faces, even if he knows he's going to get his ass kicked. Like he gives, at that scene at the dock where they're talking to Mickey Rourke and making the bet, he's mouthing off to these guys. He doesn't care that they could probably just beat the shit out of him.
Right.
So, I mean, he still has that pushback, so he's not that wallflower shy type. He's just
There's something wrong
odd.
with him, though.
He's got Asperger's. I don't, like, he's just weird, and...
Asperger.
And it's just, it's such a weird movie, because... none of it makes sense. I have nothing... I don't know.
So then once he drugs her, they go to Man's Chinese Theater where they're showing some fucking movie or something, and he's got guns, goes up to the top, fucking
King Kong style.
Jesus, dude.
Bro,
Fay Ray and King
how
Kong.
many times did he get shot before he died?
He was like Terminator.
Yeah.
I mean, probably 6 or 7.
Clearly, this movie logic went out the fucking window because you're dying from getting impaled barely and going down some steps, but this dude takes like 18 bullets to the chest.
And the
is
cops were so dramatic.
Also, yeah, the dude should have stood there if he didn't want him to die. He's like, get out of the way because we're going to take the shot. And he's like,
If he shoots at the crowd, light him up.
right.
So they shoot him, and then you get this long, drawn-out, slow-motion scene of him falling from
Oh,
the top
my
of
gosh.
Man's Chinese Theater, and then the movie ends.
I made it, Mom.
Don't
on
ever
top of
fucking
the
watch it. Just
Don't.
fucking bag this away.
Yeah, the main actor actually wanted to do that stunt, and the filmmaker was like, "No, we're not going to let you do that."
And he's
So
like,
we
cool,
got a stuntman.
I quit. Like, I'm out to do
He's like,
another
"I'm going to
movie."
be the only actor in this entire movie that goes on to do anything, relative."
I gotta go do NYPD Blue.
At least he's working. Everybody else disappeared. Like this. Apparently, that the Marilyn Monroe chick, that was her shtick. In real life, that's how she got famous. She didn't do anything much after this movie.
Shocker.
Chris Pine's mom, I think, had Chris Pine and then said, "You know what? I'm done acting." And it's like, you know what I mean? Like, Nobody went on to do anything of any
kinda cool, though.
I'm
consequence.
surprised that when this guy auditioned for anything and was like, "Yeah, I was in Fade to Black," people were like, "All
Well,
right, well, see you later."
I guess the reason why he was in this movie is that I guess the movie he did before this was more critically acclaimed. So like he had some background before this movie, so that's why he went on to do this one. That's why they wanted him. And then, like you said, after that, he kind of did, he did It and little bit parts here and there, and just kind of
Breaking Away.
something like that. I've never seen it. I don't think I've
It's
ever.
My
actually
Party.
heard of it.
That's the one.
Are you
Yeah,
sure?
That's the one.
He was in Star Trek, Deep Space Nine.
Breaking Away
I mean,
was.
I think everybody was in Star Trek at some point.
Breaking Away was a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. It looks like.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like he had a breakout role.
Yeah.
And then that's when he went and did this, and that's solely probably the reason why he was chosen for this. And it's such a bad movie.
It's terrible.
It's like I hate saying it, and it's like I want to find movies that are good. And I understand, like, we're not going to like everything.
I didn't need to go back and watch this like Once Upon a Time in the West because this movie just fucking sucked. There wasn't anything redeeming about it. It was frustrating to watch. I hate my logic being challenged. I can't stand it. All you have to do is make a little bit of sense, and chances are I'm going to give you at least a 2.5. But when you go off the realm of like, well, certain things need to happen in order for this to happen, then you start breaking reality, and you're just making a movie to make a commentary or something. There's no reason he ever should have had a Tommy gun. That shouldn't have even been a scene in the film. The movie fucking sucked. It was a 1.5 for me.
That's high.
No, no, it's not. The reason it's 1.5 is because I did like the callbacks to old, better films, and I did.
Yeah, go watch any one of those films. Make a list and then go watch those films.
I did enjoy the premise overall. I like I said, it harkens back to like a Scream or a. What was the other one that we were just talking about? I thought there was another one that was almost Cable Guy. Like or and stuff like that. I just I think it could be honestly, this is one of the few movies that I think that if you remade, you could actually make it better. And it's not it's not worthless. It's just the bones are there.
The story's there.
Yeah, the story's there. It's just it was poorly executed.
Poorly executed.
Yeah. No, it was bad for me. I mean, I don't really have much more to add to that. I mean, it's bad. It's not a movie I'd ever watch again. It's not a movie I'm going to tell people to go out and watch. I had only heard of it because Aaron mentioned it. The weird thing is that the box we didn't really have box art for me, at least. I didn't have box art to look at. So like like when I was streaming it, the digital art on the front, it has him painted halfway like the Bela Lugosi vampire, but it doesn't look like it. Like to me, it looked like he was doing like you paint your half of your face to look like a man and a woman, and nah, it wasn't that one. But it's just it was weird because I was like, okay, what are they doing with this? And then the idea sounded good, the premise sounded good, like just the way it was written, described wise, it just I felt like, okay, that sounds like a great idea. I think it would be neat.
That was probably one of the only deep parts of the movie because when he's putting the makeup on, he's got that split right down the middle of his face, and I thought, oh, okay, they're kind of harking back to like split personality type thing, and that was maybe the only smart part about the whole movie.
Yeah.
Yes,
but otherwise, for me, is 0.5. I hate this movie.
0.5?
0.5. I
Damn,
don't want to
dude.
give it a 0 because
I'm
I did
sorry.
like some of the stuff. No, it's not your fault. See, that's the thing. Like, you choose what you want to choose. I'll choose what whatever. And Scott, will choose what he wants. I don't care that we chose this movie.
I know.
I like that we chose this movie because everything that we watched so far, we've all relatively liked. I mean, even the worst of the ones that we've seen so far still were serviceable, good movies. This is going to be the first movie that I'm going to say I don't want to talk to people about this. I want to erase this movie from my brain the second these microphones go off. I want nothing to do with it. I can't recommend it to anybody. It is a short movie and is more boring than
It's not really
I think
short.
the
It's
longest
like an hour
movie.
and 40 minutes, 45 minutes or something.
Really,
like that.
it's whatever. It was bad. So 0.5 for me.
So I don't know if
didn't
you heard
like
that,
this at
but
all.
me and Jordan will be watching Fade to Black every Halloween for the next.
It's gonna be our Halloween. That's how we start the month off.
31 days of Fade to Black.
Like this could only get better, right? Fade to Black.
Never does. What about
Rather
you,
listen to a
Scott?
song by Metallica.
I'm in the same boat. I was hoping that when I was watching this movie, it was very, very nerdy, very
nerdy.
kind of. It was that comedy part of it, and I thought, okay, where's this going to go? Is it going to get super slashy? And I can appreciate a campy horror flick, but it just didn't have any of that because it just never delivered on the horror aspect for me
no.
at all, other than the callbacks to the old movies. So, I mean, with that, like I said, the story is there, and if it was remade today, it'd probably be a decent movie.
I think
it's
so.
a 1. I mean, it's a 1.
Yeah. Okay. So, the reason I picked it was because I was watching the documentary on Shudder. I can't remember what it's called, Into the Darkness or whatever. It's a documentary about 80s horror, and this is one of the movies that was predominantly featured. The documentary makes it look like one of the most interesting horror films of all time.
It's Halloween.
And
They showed all the good parts.
yeah, and I was
of them.
really excited to watch this. I actually bought it off of Vinegar Syndrome. I own it. And I hated it so much. I already gave my score. I just wanted to say that's the reason I chose it. It wasn't like I was randomly flipping through horror textbooks or anything.
Are you going to text him after this and be like, hey, can I return this one?
No, I'll keep it. That's part of being a collector. You own movies you don't like, except for Space Jam 2. I'll never own that.
Guys, make sure you use the coaster. Is Fade to Black?
Fade to Black.
Yeah, that's my coaster.
So with that, we're gonna head over to Jordan. What are you picking for us next week?
I'm actually going to pick an actual horror movie. It's going to be... Everybody. That's my radio voice. I have always wanted to watch this movie. I've always kind of seen the artwork. It is by one of my, I would say top 3 horror directors. It's a Wes Craven movie. It is called Prince of Darkness.
Anyone in close proximity has the same dream.
What is it?
A secret that can no longer be kept. It started a month ago.
What started?
A change in the earth and the sky. His power.
There's a weird locking mechanism. Looks like it can only be opened from the inside.
A life form is growing out of prebiotic fluid. It's not winding down into disorder. It's self-organizing. It's becoming something. What?
Guess what? Can you guess?
Aaron owns it. He's never
seen
it.
That's right.
We should do like a little stinger every now and then that just points it out. It's like some kind of theme song. It's like, he owns it. He doesn't see it.
He owns it.
He's never seen it.
But that's going to change this week. You guys like that?
We did. We got it. That was perfect. That wasn't rehearsed at all. That was great.
And since it is the October Spookathon double feature Grindhouse, let's do a double. We're going to put all the names of the horror movies we want to watch into a random generator. The movie we will be watching is, drumroll please, Phantasm.
Phantasm. The delusion of a disordered mind. A phantom. A spirit. A ghost. For nearly 4 decades it has been contained, but evil always has a way of breaking free.
Tommy's gone. It's hard to believe. It was a good idea not to let your little brother come to the funeral.
Yeah, I don't like this place.
Something weird is going on up there.
The funeral is about to begin, sir.
I believe the main actor is Angus Scrimm.
Is he the skinny man?
He's the tall man.
I've never seen this movie, which is awesome. Have you seen it?
I have seen, oddly enough, I've seen the second one.
What about you, Scott?
Never seen the original.
So
Same thing. I've seen, I think the other one.
Yeah. I think part 2, was the one that I predominantly would see like on, HBO or Cinemax.
1979.
Yep.
Directed by Don Coscarelli.
Coscarelli.
And he clearly Italian, so this is probably spaghetti horror. Kidding.
Is that a thing?
No.
It's a linguine horror. Spaghetti westerns.
Guess what? I own this movie right
looking
there.
at it right now.
And
I'm
I've
actually
never seen
jealous
it.
of
And I've
your
never
set.
seen it. And that's going to change this week.
Yeah. I own it. I never seen it. And that's going to change this week. So, anyways, yeah, I'm excited to watch this film. I've heard nothing but great things about Phantasm 1 and 2. Heard it starts kind of going off the rails after that.
Well, they all do.
So, but I'm excited to watch a horror masterpiece. I like horror masterpieces. I like films that are put in the same genre as other, horror films that are put in the same category as like really good movies, and apparently Phantasm is one of them. So that's a good pick. Thank you, random number generator. Bleep, bloop, bloop, bleep, bleep.
Tagline: if this one doesn't scare you, you're already dead.
Oh shit!
Brace yourselves.
Damn.
I like that. Maybe I shouldn't watch that late at night. I get scared.
I'm gonna get a lot of text. Hey, have you seen this movie yet? Oh my god.
Oh my god, I'm scared, guys.
God, I'm so scared. You guys want to come over and watch it with me?
So, before we wrap this up, we know we promised extra large episodes, but we didn't have a double for this one. So, is there anything you wanted to talk about? Did you want to talk about Halloween? Did you want to talk about?
You want to talk about Halloween? I'll talk about Halloween.
Films? I think there's a lot of people out there that know more about Halloween than I do. I know that Halloween's good. I didn't actually see the original Halloween until a couple of years ago. I had told you this. I had only seen H2O, but I have seen Halloween first.
Little known fact: myself and Scott are huge Halloween fans to the point where we had to get pictures with PJ Souls, star of Halloween.
That's right.
She was like, "Come over here, take pictures." And I'm like,
"Poor Scott,
really?"
He was so accommodating too. Like, okay, so we went to this.
I couldn't tell her no.
This little horror convention back in July, and I was excited because PJ Souls, one of the actresses in the original Halloween movie with Jamie Lee Curtis, was there, and she was signing autographs and taking pictures. So I brought my I think 35th anniversary edition of Halloween, and I was like, I'm gonna have her sign. I had there's a little booklet included with it and had her picture in there, so it was perfect. So I paid the money, went up and talked to her for a little bit. She was so nice, so accommodating, and I got to take pictures, got her to sign it, and she was so nice. And it was so low key there that she was like, "Hey, do you want a picture too?" And my brother came over, even though he's not the biggest fan of hers as well. Took a picture, and then she motions over to Scott. "Do you want to?" And the look on his face was like, "No," but
that's why I walked away.
Yeah, Aaron was like, you look over, you see Scott, and then there's like this smoke outline of where Aaron was standing, and Scott's like, "Sure, why not?" So we've got a picture of Scott also with PJ Souls.
It's like when they steal the TV and all you can see is the dust outline of the TV.
Right. So we all got a picture with. I mean, I really, honestly, joking aside, she was super nice. Like, it was really cool.
I felt bad because I was.
He's like, "Do I say no?"
Yeah, but I was like, "Sure, I'll take a picture with you."
So Halloween has, since I was little, has that and like Nightmare on Elm Street. Those have just always been my favorite horror franchises growing up. I mean, even more than the Friday the 13th series. Like, that's pretty iconic. There are Friday the 13th movies that I haven't seen.
That's
in
the
big
set. Three right there.
But yeah, I mean, they changed the genre. I mean, you got Halloween was the final girl, the Shape. I mean, they didn't even have a name for Michael Myers really as like a marketing tactic. It was the Shape, and he was just silently stalking these girls. There was no real rhyme or reason to it. There wasn't this convoluted backstory yet about when Halloween 2 introduced the fact that it was his sister, and like there was the history. No, there's just this man in a mask terrorizing Haddonfield, Illinois in the 1970s, and that was just, I mean, that it's something not even so outlandish that could be a thing that actually happens. And I think that's what brings that horror element. That it's the same with Jaws. The scary part about Jaws is that you really don't see the shark. And that's it's the same thing. He's the shark, and you don't see him really, and he just kind of is there, and you don't know why. There's really no reason, and he's stalking these people, and he's killing people, and it's just great. The music's done by John Carpenter, the director directed by John Carpenter. It is fantastic, and it's like, for me, it's why this franchise keeps going, and he's iconic. He's the white-faced William Shatner murderer, because that was the mask. It was a William Shatner mask.
The reason I wasn't trying to get too hard into the Halloween, I just feel like everybody knows everything. The leaves were spray painted. The house was
filmed in the summer.
Right, yeah. I know all that stuff. I know everyone does. I feel like it's done to death. Only reason I'm bringing it up now is because we are doing the Spooktacular month. And
Dude, it's the movie. It's one of the movies for Halloween. I mean, it's in the God, it's in the damn title, man.
What?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, what Halloween have you gone
I've never seen it.
without watching Halloween?
Well, I mean, it kind of put John Carpenter on the map.
About
I mean,
50 of them. So,
right. But you know, like John Carpenter, I mean, he's synonymous.
synonymous.
Phenomena.
Anyway, you know,
that
like
right there.
he brought that. Damn it. You know, he defined that, and then he went on to make other good, you know, horror movies. And it's why I picked Prince of Darkness. It's another John Carpenter flick. You know you're going to get that heavy
You
synth.
said Wes Craven earlier.
Was it Wes Craven?
You said Wes Craven. I don't know.
Fucking dumb.
That's your movie
It's
pick.
John Carpenter. Wes Craven's great. I mean, I can go off on, you know, Wes Craven's contributions.
I don't remember.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure you said Wes Craven.
Well, I mean, again, we've alluded to this
Because I was going to say I didn't know. Oh,
Just
then
kidding. Look, if I said it, Scott will buy you lunch. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, John Carpenter went on to do some of the more iconic movies of the 80s. You got, you know, Escape from New York, Escape from L.A.,
The
You've got
Thing,
The Thing,
which
They
is-
Live. Yeah, you know, he's done so much
The
good
Thing
things.
is my all-time favorite horror film ever. I don't consider it a Halloween film, but I love The Thing more than any other probably movie on the planet. I can quote the entire thing. I literally bought every new copy. 4K.
I just got my 4K one.
The Thing is so good. I think John Carpenter is really, 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 really well. Not received isn't the right word, but he is represented on Blu-ray 4K. It's not hard to find a John Carpenter film anywhere, and he's just
done so much. Even if he didn't direct it, he's written so much.
Like Starman, I think, is one of
Starman.
his
I love Starman
films and stuff like that. I just think he's very well represented. Represented. I think when I finally start showing my son horror movies, it will be a lot of John Carpenter, Wes Craven before I get him into Italian horror.
Yeah,
the other subgenres of horror, but. I'll be damned if I show him any Ari Aster films.
No. Well, like we talked about last week about Once Upon a Time in the West as being not the jumping off movie to get started into westerns.
Right.
Halloween is the jumping off movie to get started into the slasher horror genre.
I think Halloween 1, Friday the 13th 1, and
Nightmare on Elm Street.
But
the big three.
Well,
I prefer Dream
Here's
Warriors,
the thing. Like, so if you do Friday the 13th Part 1, do you think if people aren't versed in that world, do you think they're going to come away disappointed since Jason Voorhees is the face of Friday the 13th with the first one not really being focused around him?
I don't know. I remember watching Friday the 13th, the first one. I watched them in order, and I thought it was almost as good of a build-up in a horror series as it was to him. I don't think he gets the hockey mask until the third movie.
No, he's wearing the burlap sack in the second one.
Yep.
So I think it's just as good as a build-up to that as it is.
He's Corey Feldman in the fourth one.
Yes.
That's how much this movie goes crazy.
So yeah, I would show a new horror person Friday the 13th 1 and then explain the lore and then let them find. Oh, that's where he gets the hockey mask. That's why it's so
I just feel like
iconic.
it's so iconic for the hockey mask. I mean, when people think Friday the 13th, they think Jason Voorhees. And like you said, he doesn't actually take on that hockey mask persona until the third one.
Right.
So I feel like, yes, that's a good starting off for the franchise for people who are dumb, and
It's
that's
clearly
90%
Takes
of
Manhattan.
the audience. It's clear. No, it's Jason X. They want to see some sci-fi horror. Oh my god, that movie!
Yeah.
Actually,
saw it on my prom night. Supposed to be going to prom. Didn't have a date because
Jason X.
I had just moved to Mississippi because I had left here and went to Mississippi, so I didn't know
It
anybody.
was the only time Aaron was going to see some breasts.
So, so instead of going to prom, I remember I went and ate at this like country. It wasn't like old country buffet. It was like a country themed buffet. So it was like barbecue and shrimp, like fried shrimp.
Weird.
And then I went over to the Cineplex across the street and I
local
watched
Bijou.
Jason X instead of going to prom.
That movie, there's one part in that movie that still makes me laugh every time, is when he takes the co-eds in the virtual campground in the sleeping bags and literally just swings them into a tree. And I laugh, and that maybe speaks to something about me. But I think, I mean, I don't even think Halloween went this route as far as being almost comical.
Yes, it did. H2O, Resurrection.
No, but see, no, those weren't trying to play for laughs. Whereas, okay, after you get to part 3, 4, 5, and on with the Nightmare on Elm Street until they got to New Nightmare, a lot of those were funny. Like Freddy in the first movie is a menacing, scary creature. And after part 2, it became where if he's not cracking a joke every 3 seconds, you don't want to watch the movie.
Right.
And that's
why I think I like Dream Warriors.
Well, and it's the same with not Nightmare on Elm Street, but Friday the 13th. At some point, it just became funny.
Yeah.
Like Jason Takes Manhattan, Jason X, Freddy versus Jason. Like all these were just. But I think, yes, they were scary, but you laugh.
But I think Halloween 1 through 4.
I don't think Halloween was trying to play for laughs. They really tried to make some kind of lore, even if it was dumb.
In the H2O and the Resurrection, they absolutely were. There's a part where
Resurrection, yes, because you have Busta Rhymes and fucking Tyra Banks.
And I think H2O it takes place on a college campus or something like that.
Yeah, it's the return of Laurie Strode.
They're trying to kill him in like a hallway, and he keeps coming, and there's like jokes being made and stuff like that. I think all franchises eventually go that route, and that's fine. You got to get there. It's part of the horror genre. They want to ease the tension with the laughs. I get it, but
and I think they were following they were following the Scream model because Scream was very, teenagery.
I love Scream.
And had that funniness and had that kind of that same feel to it, and a lot of movies were trying to copy it.
Right. I agree. I'm one of the few people that Scream 1, great. Everything after that could just be dumped in the garbage.
I like Scream.
And I know a lot of people like Scream 2. I get it.
Scream 3 was...
Jay and Silent Bob.
That was fun.
They were in it. Yeah. They were in the fucking movie.
Right?
It couldn't be a horror movie.
No,
and Scream 4 is one of the most worthless films ever.
And at the same horror convention, Aaron got to hug Matthew Lillard.
Oh, I did.
Actually, that was a really fun interaction. Even for me, as someone who wasn't there to take pictures, I was on the outside looking in, and just the idea. Like, it was fun. It was really cool. I mean, Jamie Kennedy looked like he was drunk and didn't want to be there.
He looked like a
But Matthew Lillard could not have been the more nice. Like, I find that a lot of the times, you'll come across some of these conventions, especially like in the horror genres, where you see a character like Doug Bradley who played Pinhead in Hellraiser. He didn't want to be there. Like he just looked like he didn't want to be there.
Nope.
Matthew Lillard was having a great time. He's playing punk music, talking about Summer Catch. I mean, he was great. He was fantastic.
Great horror film.
PJ Souls couldn't be nicer, and she was wearing like a Halloween shirt. She was wearing, she was into stuff.
I love
like
the people
they were
that
into it.
Roll into it. Like they just embrace their.
Yeah, they know that like they're famous for this, and unless you embrace it, then you're just gonna deal with the worst of the worst. And fanboys like us are the worst of the worst.
That's kind of how I felt like Jamie Kennedy was. Like I thought he was
exactly.
like, oh man, I've done so much better.
Yeah, because they have
Malibu's Most Wanted.
I've done Malibu's Most Wanted and
the Jamie Kennedy experiment. Fuck you.
Yeah,
dance for me. Do the Scream lines.
Shut
up.
How did he pull hot Jennifer Love Hewitt? How was that possible?
Movie magic, my friend.
I guess, dude.
I mean, speaking of her, she was in. I
know what you did last summer.
Yeah, I know we did last summer.
I might revisit that.
Which they're coming out with a remake.
Oh, of course,
they did like 3 of them. So I know the first 2. That was
the third one.
They did a weird third one that I didn't know anything about until I was.
Know what you did last summer. I don't consider that a real movie. That movie looks
no.
Like,
First one's good. I did like the first one.
First one and second one. I think that's one of the 2 that has a sequel that is just as good as
that's right in that Scream category, which is another one. If you're looking for jumping off, Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer. Those are movies that you could introduce people to that type of.
Sarah Michelle Gellar was in both of those
because they're not slasher. They're not like slasher flicks.
You know who she's married to? Who was also in I Know What You Did Last Summer?
Freddie Prinze Jr.
My best friend.
No, because he
Freddie Prinze Jr.
couldn't even do our fantasy.
But yeah, I mean, I loved that time because we were getting things like House of Wax remake. We were getting good horror movies like Ghost Ship. That was fun.
I love Ghost Ship.
Ghost Ship is really cool.
I love that opening scene.
The opening scene of Ghost Ship is fantastic, where the wire comes through and like just chops everybody off. We got like 13 Ghosts, House on Haunted Hill.
I love 13 Ghosts.
Like that whole time frame after Scream kind of brought that back, and Kevin Williamson and Wes Craven, brought this, the horror genre back. For the longest time, it was just you had the big 3: Friday the 13th, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, and they were just churning them out. And at some point, there was a lot of just fatigue. It was like what Marvel is now, where it's like people are like, oh, it's another Marvel movie. Yeah, we'll go see it, but what else is there? Now, Scream comes out, revitalizes it, and then you've got, I Know What You Did Last Summer. You got all these horror movies coming out. And
it needs another revival. I'm tired of
I
elevated
feel
horror.
like they're
I'm
trying
tired
to
of
do
it.
that. We've got Halloween Kills coming, and
Right.
they have Scream 5 or
I
Scream
don't
Lives
know.
or Screaming
Scream.
Again or Scream or My Mom Will Shoot. I don't know. That's coming out in February, which goes back to the problem with some of these marketing tactics is why are you releasing a horror movie in February? I feel like when they do that, they're putting it out there to die.
Right.
Because that's the lull. No one's going. And right now, post-COVID, any time is a good time to release something.
What?
But I just
COVID?
don't.
What's that?
I
I'm
don't want
kidding.
to talk about it. We're going to get flagged or something. But I don't know. I want to see it. I'm curious. They brought a lot of the old cast back, but
Yeah.
I don't want.
Like I said, I love Scream. I love all these movies. I agree with everything you're saying. I just touched on it a little bit, but I am tired of elevated horror. I don't need every single one of my horror movies to be some grand intellectual, lecture about.
Give me a good story. Give me some jump
politics
scares
or something. I don't need.
This episode is sponsored by Lamb. Coming soon to theaters.
I actually want to see that. I heard the twist is excellent.
I
It's
just
elevated
saw the
horror
previews for this, and I
I
wanted
don't
to
even think
bang
it's
my
elevated
head in
horror.
the door.
It looks creepy. I mean, it looks creepy in
It
the sense that
looks
it's like Midsommar / Hereditary. It's
terrible.
going to be that elevated horror like you're talking about. I mean, I'll see it.
Yeah, I'll see
You know
it.
me. I've got my A24 tattoo on my
It's an
forehead.
A24 film, and as soon as I see that it's
got
an
A24 vibes, y'all.
What? Okay, so I
I'm
can't
out.
remember off the top of my head. What is that horror movie that was supposed to come out last year? It got pushed to this year, and now it's getting pushed to next year. It's that little kid. He's in class. He's like feeding some creature. It's like I think it's not directed by Guillermo del Toro, but I think it was produced by Guillermo del Toro. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
No.
I
I
gotta
gotta
look
figure
it
that
up.
out.
Was it
It's-
Antlers or whatever?
I think it was Antlers. Yes, that looks like a cool horror movie.
Okay, so it was Antlers.
I think it was Antlers.
Okay, then we're on the same page. So we're gonna do a double feature. I don't know what is it?
Prince of Darkness.
Prince of Darkness and
Phantasm.
Phantasm. Original one. Not you don't have to watch all 5. So we will come back and review those. We'll talk about those. We'll do some more movie stuff. If we see anything in between those times, horror-wise, we'll bring that to you. Then we're going to do Scott's picks, which we'll wait on that, clearly. Then, at the end of the month, you are going to get a snack show. Top 5 favorite horror movies, and how that will work is we are just going to make a list, 5 through 1. It's not going to be an in-depth conversation,
brief.
but we will do 5 to 1. So we'll start with Scott, me, however we want to do it that day. It'll be random, and we'll just go through and talk about that. If we have the same, that's okay. And yeah, that's how the rest of this month will go. And then we'll go back to our normally regular scheduled programming in November, and then we'll do something different for Christmas. So
all Hallmark. All the time.
there's definitely a Christmas movie that I am not watching just because I want to watch it on the show.
And he
I'm
hasn't told us,
so
and I've been thinking about it literally
fucking
for days.
excited about it.
Trying to figure out
And
what this is.
I just
Ernest Saves Christmas.
I
hope
need.
so.
No, it's not. I need to save it close to my heart. So, all right, guys. I hope you guys have a spooky rest of your week. I'm Aaron.
I'm Jordan.
And Scott.
And we'll see you next week on I'll Watch It Later. Thank you so much for listening, guys.